Hi, hello. Today I have a pleasure to talk to Kristen Bennett, the CEO of Service Year Alliance. Kristen, it's a pleasure to meet with you here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be back in Poland.
It's been 3 years?
It's been 3 years, yeah. So good to be here with the team and to be back experiencing Poland. I think this is maybe my 8th visit.
It's a lot.
So,
It's a lot. And you've been in Service Year Alliance for 7 years right now.
yeah, so Service Year Alliance is the product of a merger. So we had 4 different nonprofit organizations that were working to try and advance this big idea of making national service commonplace in our country, and felt like we needed to come together and act as one to be more effective. So 3 of the 4 organizations merged to make Service Year Alliance in January of 2016. So our organization has been around since then. I have been working on this project and idea for about 8.5 years because I was with one of the predecessor organizations, and national service even longer than that.
Okay, so it's quite some time.
Yes.
So has it changed during the time? So you've been in the industry for nearly 9 years, and you've been in different places. Now you've just been promoted to CEO. Congratulations once again. Can you tell me something more about what is the change in the industry? Did you observe the change?
We've had several different changes, and I think part of it is because service is naturally impacted by what's happening in the country, what's happening in the economy. So when I got on board initially, so post university, I did a year of service as an AmeriCorps Vista, and that was during the 2008 recession. So service was booming then. There were more resources going into it. You know, families and communities just needed more in our country at that time. So there was a huge demand for service, both from what the communities needed as well as from individuals like me who wanted to serve. As the economy got better, that kind of leveled out a little bit. And that's when we started to invest in our work as Service Year Alliance to try and grow the number of opportunities and think about how this could play a bigger role in our country. And then a pandemic happened. You know, so we have kind of, a lot has changed because we definitely are impacted by what's happening across the country and across the globe. Our organization has also changed a lot. You know, we have gone from being a fairly scrappy startup, you know, of having a lot of big ideas and hiring people and trying to make a lot of big things happen, to contracting a little bit and identifying what we're best at and the role that we want to play in our industry, and become a little bit more focused, have a bigger impact. So a lot has changed, and I think it's an ebb and flow.
But it sounds fascinating, actually, the path that you walked as an organization. And you said that you're working with young people because that's one of the words that you link, because you link the word of young people with the word of business organizations, possibilities, government, and so on. And you mentioned pandemic. So what changed? Because there's a lot. There were a lot of articles about what happened to the teenagers because of pandemic, how their perspective changed. Do you see do you observe the change in how they perceive the world right now?
Yes, I think there's been instances of young people really wanting to find a way to do something and make a difference, but being even more confused about how to do that. In our sector, in service, so much of what we normally see are individuals going into like direct service opportunities, meaning they're in schools tutoring children, or they're out in the environment making hiking trails safer. They're mentoring young people. They're helping the aging population stay in their homes, all of those different things. That turned to virtual during the pandemic, and I think, was a combination of giving some people more access to service because they didn't have to move and uproot everything they know because they could do it virtually, while also limiting, I think, the opportunities too for individuals that just weren't comfortable trying something different during the pandemic. I think the other big thing we've seen, at least in the States, is that this pandemic disrupted the higher education system and the kind of normal paved path that people take. You graduate from high school, you go to college, you're going to be okay. The combination of the cost of college and all of a sudden learning you're going to go to college in your bedroom for 2 years,
Okay.
and not be able to go have the experience, I think has created more opportunity for young people to step back and think about what they want to do, more than in the past when I think it was more likely that they would take the next steps that they'd always heard they should take.
Following their parents' path.
Right.
And what are they looking right now? Different opportunities? Because you as organization, you provide different opportunities for young people. Mm-hmm. So what's the direction that is most interesting for them? Do you see some kind of, say, more interesting and frequently chosen paths here?
Yeah. I would say right now, the environment and climate and energy is trending amongst the younger generation. So we have seen opportunities to serve in communities to address climate change or renewable energy as very popular. So that, I don't know if it had the same attraction a few years ago, but that's one area, very like specific focus area and specific type of service that this next generation is excited about. We actually did some polling that showed us that young people in our country, majority of young people in our country, are very concerned about the environment and our planet, and most don't know what they as an individual can do to make an impact, and are extremely supportive of the idea of being able to take a year to do service and to give back and gain some skills as an opportunity to try and contribute to the solutions. So that's definitely one area that we've seen trending.
It's an important one because right now we're talking about the future of planet, and we have the next generation who will live on the planet.
Right.
So they somehow working and preparing the world and building the world that they will live in. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot about opportunities and benefits that young people can have from collaborating with you, because there's an amazing platform, there are opportunities, they can choose opportunities that they want. And we also said something about organizations. So you as Service Year Alliance, you link right. These two words. So what are the benefits of huge businesses when it comes to working with you?
So in the States, the service opportunities, so a service year is when an individual will give, 10 to 12 months where they can deliver service and give back to a community in a way that they care about, while also being paid, gaining some resources for college, and gaining skills. And those experiences are spread across the country, and they're spread across, I would say, thousands of organizations. This is not something where you all sign up for the same program or the same organization. So because of that, a modern way of finding each other is important. And service is also not something that most Americans are aware of. So being able to build ServiceYear.org, our technology platform, and offer a marketplace where nonprofit organizations and public organizations across the country can come to it and describe the opportunities they have and who they're looking for, while having an organization like us that can recruit young people to the other side of the platform in a much more friendly narrative, a general narrative that is attractive to young people, is really, really, really valuable. In part because nonprofits don't have a lot of resources. And to think about a scenario where you're, in theory, recruiting your entire workforce every year, right? You get a whole new set of people every year, that you'd imagine they'd have a huge HR or talent department, and that's not the way nonprofits look. So if every nonprofit out there is trying to do that in gaining individuals to serve for them, it's just not very efficient or cost effective, right? So having our technology platform, being able to bring our marketing and recruitment expertise, being able to also raise the narrative and awareness of national service is something that not everyone can do on their own. So we do it kind of on behalf of the system. And yeah, I would say I think that's the real value, is that we are trying to offer something that not everyone can afford to do. And individuals, especially in this job market now, are difficult to find on an annual basis.
And you said that the organization has a long history. So you know how to just talk, how to communicate with young people. Can you tell me something more about how to communicate with Generation Z? We hear a lot about who these people are, that they think differently, that they look for different opportunities. How do you tell them about the service year? Because you said at the beginning that they're not even aware sometimes of the fact that it exists.
So in my opinion, we're one of the first organizations that was founded to just think about how we can create more opportunities for people to serve and easier paths for individuals to get into service. You know, that's our mission, generally speaking. And because of that, we have done a lot of research over the years, both for marketing and messaging and narrative building, but also for the user experience of our technology platform around what young people are looking for. Historically, you might have found recruitment opportunities or postings that were very full of acronyms and government terms. Okay. And young people are like, what am I signing up for? This isn't what I want.
How did it change?
So we learned that you need to be I don't want to say simple, but direct, and just say what the experience is. Our slogan as an organization is a better you, a greater us. And because one of the things we learned is that individuals looking to serve, younger people, want to know both what's in it for them as well as what they can impact and what they can give back to the community. So you'll see in the way we message that you can get paid and help children, right? You can gain skills and make the environment cleaner. So everything we say has that duality because that's important for young people. And it's constant learning about what individuals are looking for. We founded our organization and a lot of our original messaging around millennials, and millennials are now old.
We are millennials.
I'm a millennial, right? So what I was looking for and what would have attracted me is no longer the same thing. And with Gen Z, this next generation, we are seeing that it's much more complicated what they want. It is not necessarily just the duality. There's multiple things they care about. They care about belonging. They care about their own trajectory in a different way. There's a different level of empathy. And that has just evolved the way we message things. So it's a constant learning experience to find at any given point what we believe the individuals coming in the next 2 to 5 years are going to care the most about and what will resonate with them.
My daughter is 9 years old, so in 10 years she will be at the very moment of choosing her life path or deciding what to do, where to go. Do you have any idea, because you work with people for so many years, with young people, do you have any idea what will be the next steps, how it will change, what will be most important in some time for them?
Not really. No, but I think something that has kind of reigned true is choice. So in national service, at least in service years, one of the things that we have stayed focused on is that it should always be voluntary. Mm-hmm. It should be something that as you come to a certain age, you can decide that this is something you want to do, and you can decide specifically where you want to go and what you want to experience. And instead of saying everyone must do it in our country, choice is important, and our systems have not always been very flexible to make it so that everyone has that choice, everyone has access, everyone's aware. They think about this experience as something they can do when they're 18 or 19 and they're trying to discover where they want to go. I hope that exists. I hope that as individuals come to age now, but in 10 years, that there are enough opportunities for them to explore what they think will be right for them, especially because we can see that traditional institutions change over time, right? As like I said, in the States, we've seen the higher education system and the attraction to it shift. In the moment, young people weren't able to turn around and say, okay, well, I'll try this, or this instead. And we've tried to fill that gap with service. So I would hope that we're not filling a gap in 10 years. I would hope that we have a generation that's growing up and coming of age, knowing that there are options for them to explore different careers, to build leadership skills, to understand what they care most about, and know that one path isn't necessarily the right path. It's like their path, and what they decide is ultimately what's best.
And it's beautiful what you're saying, because it's like, you as organization, you make real change. So that you're working with young people, you're shaping the future somehow through them. So there's great mission and great values that you have in your work. I believe it's fascinating to work for a company like this when you see that there's really real impact of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. I knew early on in my career that I wanted to do something mission-driven, and we tackle the technology, we tackle some policy work in Washington, D.C. and across the country to make sure that these programs that are primarily funded by the federal government are continuing to be funded and can grow. We also think about working with nonprofits and developing best practices for how to have service years exist and to exist in a way that this next generation wants. So in some ways, we do the less obvious work. We're not on the ground tutoring the children, but we wake up every day hoping that we are helping the programs that do that, and we are helping to enable the individuals that want to make that happen. So it's a few points removed, but I believe that it's impactful and important, and I'm excited about what we'll be able to accomplish in the coming years.
We're talking about, you mentioned technology, yes. So you help young people, young teenagers, I believe, with the technology skills, developed technology skills as well.
So we really focus on providing the tools that organizations and young people need to find each other, and for them to stay engaged in the sector, for them to communicate with each other. And in that sense, I feel like we are an enabler of the service years that exist. Every year there's an organization with a need, there's resources to fund it, there's an individual that's interested in serving, and somehow those all have to come together in one place for a service year to happen and exist. And that's our goal, right, is to be able to provide that place for them to come together.
The platform that you
platform.
have is it putting all this information in one place, so it's easier for them to find it.
That's the goal.
And I believe that's the platform that we have a pleasure to work on with you. So how long have you been working with Future Processing, and how is it actually to have a technology partner? Do you see the value here?
Yes, definitely. We've been working with Future Processing since the fall of 2018. We started the build of the platform in the fall of 2014. So we had an MVP, and we'd started to go to market and had our first users and some proof points before we came to FP. We've had an opportunity, I think, to move from MVP, from our first real releases, and optimize things as we've been here working with Future Processing. So some new ideas have come to bear. I've been excited by one of the things that we actually tackled over the last 2 years was the accessibility of our whole platform. So not only do we have it and does it work, but does it work for everybody? And a partner like this is critical, in particular for a nonprofit like us. We are fundraising constantly and trying to get grants to support our own staff and to support our own projects and to keep things running. That prevents us from being able to sustain our own in-house team and make that level of investment, and to have the flexibility of working with someone like Future Processing, your organization, your company, is really valuable, because we can be agile and change what we need at different points in time, right? We were able to lean in to needing accessibility expertise. In this next year, we're talking a lot about data analytics, and we don't have to go looking for that, right? We can just come here and you have all of it. So I think that flexibility of being able to find what we need and when we have the resources is what's so valuable in having a technology partner.
Happy to help. No, and you mentioned data.
Yeah.
The world is more and more aware, and companies are more and more aware of what data can do and how can it help in decision making, in this new features that you can add to your platform. So what are the next steps for you as a person, you as an organization, and maybe the whole industry? Where are we going to?
I think it's using our data a lot more. Is a main thing. So when you look at our industry, to this day, one of the main ways that individuals find service years is word of mouth. Someone told them about it, right? Their cousin or their neighbor or their friend said, I did this amazing experience, you should as well. That does not provide us much information, right, about who they are, where they come from, what else they would have been interested in if they knew about it. So we're trying to take some of those in-person tactics and find ways to translate them to online interactions. So specifically, we're building out a referral feature. So don't just tell your friend, link them to something. So that we can do a much better job of figuring out where people come from and what they're interested in, and tracking the trends of one year to the next to learn about who's coming up in the next generation. That's important to us because this next era of national service for us in our country is really focused on equity. So to date, national service has been viewed as an opportunity for a smaller group of people, for the privileged. I think people would look at me and say, that's who national service is for. A white presenting middle class college graduate, they would imagine that's what all of national service looks like in the States. It's not true. It's much more diverse than that. But there are barriers for people of different races, zip codes, socioeconomic backgrounds to being able to do this, because it's not, you don't get rich doing it. You know, you kind of struggle and survive a little bit. So because equity is so important, both in what the experience looks like, but also in how we reach people and find them, it's one of the reasons we're investing in data over the next few years, is to just understand what is happening at a much better rate for our technology platform, for our organization, but really for our entire sector.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, you know, this information is not only for you, but actually the whole industry can learn from it, and the whole country culture,
Yeah.
because we know what people are looking for, what is important for them. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed for this project, and I believe it will bring great value for actually everyone. Everyone, thank you very much for the conversation. It was great to meet you, and I invite all of you to check the website of Service Year Alliance and just look at the amazing organization behind the possibilities for young people. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.